Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about what characters that I believe, guys, are worth taking to rank 5 or as a 5-star champion to rank 3. Basically, the characters in the game that I think have a solid enough use that they are worthy of using your tier 4 class catalysts on. And really something to bear in mind with the tier 4 class catalyst is just how rare they are, how long they take to farm, so you only want to take up a champion, in my opinion, that has a really solid overall use in the game, as well as some fairly decent prestige. You know, if you're playing at that level, you always have to somewhat keep prestige in mind, but you know, it's kind of striking a balance between upgrading good champions and the champions that you want, and the champions that are going to help you do more difficult content and explore more, and also if you're in an alliance that, you know, is aiming to get tier 4 class catalysts either on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you kind of, you know, need to meet the prestige requirements for that. You know, if you want to keep on getting more and more tier 4 class catalysts, it's a bit of a cycle there. But you know, with the offer that's come up this evening, I've had so many people asking me, Seatin, you know, what champion should I rank 5? Because some people are very willing to spend the money, and even if you're, you know, totally unrelated to that offer, I want to give you guys some of my advice, and I'm very open again to any constructive input on this video. If you have any differing opinions on the champions with, you know, valid justifications of why another champion should be added to this list or removed, I'm very interested to hear it. So yeah, leave it in the comments below. But again, you know, like saying, oh, you know, why is like I don't know, Hyperion on this list, he sucks, that's not very helpful. But if you say, why is Hyperion on this list, like he's not very good for this and this, then, you know, we can have a little bit of a debate, a little bit of a constructive conversation, and we might get something productive out of it. Who knows, guys? Who knows? But anyway, guys, on to the meat of the video, the stuff that you want to see. So again, I've actually added this to my tier list spreadsheet under a tab called which champions I would use my tier 4 class catalysts on. So in all of them, I've tried to outline kind of at least 5 champions in somewhat in an order of priority, but in terms of like which champions are a priority for you, you kind of need to assess your own needs in game. Like, what are you lacking at the moment? Are you lacking a good offense? Do you need a champion that's going to pull you through all the content? Or, you know, have you got a really good offense already? Do I need to focus on my alliance war defense? But these are the champions that I deem worthy. But again, guys, you know, if you want to add a little bit in the comments, be constructive. So anyway, let's start with science. I think the surefire science champion to upgrade straight away, if you haven't already got him as a rank 5, the number 1 priority is Captain America World War II. Just such an incredible champion when he's duped, amazing in alliance war for skilled players. You are taking like no damage all of the time by blocking, and yeah, it's just absolutely crazy champion, incredible damage output, very useful in top tier alliance wars. I think he's a great champion. And then next up I have some of the 5-star champions. I think all of the 5-star champions, when they're duped and awakened, are exceptional for alliance war defense. The 5-star Spider-Man, Rhino, and Ant-Man are amazing, and I think they're all worthy of that rank 3 as a 5-star champion when the champion is duped. Again, this is kind of under the circumstance on this list that every character is awakened and duped. So, you know, if you haven't got them duped, then a lot of characters actually don't make the cut for rank 5. There are only probably, I'd say, Captain America World War II and maybe Doctor Strange that unduped are probably worth considering as a, you know, to actually invest class catalysts in. Apart from that, you know, you pretty much want to dupe like every other champion, because a lot of them do heavily require on being duped to be amazing champions. But this is also something you want to bear in mind, guys, is that the game at the moment is kind of shifting toward like class catalysts are becoming a little bit more common. We're seeing tier 2 alpha catalysts as well, and this is pretty huge, become a lot more common. They're being given out in the monthly calendars. We had one in December, we're getting another one in January, and once you have 4 of those, you can take a champion to rank 4, and a 5-star champion at rank 4 greatly surpasses the power level of a 4-star champion at 550. So something very important to bear in mind, especially when you're spending your class catalyst at the moment, is that 5-star champions kind of are making a little bit of a shift, and will probably be making a much larger shift next year into becoming much more common in the game. So yeah, just kind of bear that in mind when upgrading your characters. However, saying that, I do very strongly believe there are a lot of characters as a 4-star that's still worth upgrading. There are characters that will just make your game so much incredibly easier. So let's go over some more of them. So Science as well as a 4-star. I've put down Electro, Spider-Man, and Quake. I think all those champions as a 4-star when awakened are really good. Electro and Spider-Man for Alliance War Defense, and Quake as a bit of a worse version of Captain America, but still very good and currently the highest Science Prestige champion, so she's pretty good for that. Then we go on to Mystic. I have the 4-star Scarlet Witch. Obviously is the top choice for the first Mystic champion that you upgrade to 550. The power level of a 550 Scarlet Witch is incredible. You can just absolutely demolish everything. Yeah, I love my 550 Scarlet Witch. Just such an incredible character for face rolling content and new challenges, so I definitely suggest that she's the first upgrade. And then I think if you're a lot of people at endgame, when you get to the really top tier alliances, they like to build their defense around the Mystic Dispersion Mastery, and there are a lot of really good characters that kind of synergize very well with this, like Juggernaut and Magic are two of them. So if you're a 5-star Magic or a 5-star Juggernaut duped, then I would say they're probably your second priority for a 550 Mystic champion. Then I've got Doctor Strange, Mordo, Ghost Rider, Magic, and Juggernaut all as 4-star characters. Again, all of these champions have various uses throughout the game. Doctor Strange is probably, I've put him at the top because he's probably one of the most, like, well-rounded champions. You can use him for, like, anything in the game. Alliance Quest, he's amazing. Alliance War Attack, he's pretty good. Alliance War Defense, especially on Unblockable Level 2, he's a pretty good champion. So, yeah, do highly rate the old Doctor Strange there. But also, Mordo is an absolute tank. We have Ghost Rider, Magic, and then Juggernaut, of course, just as their lesser variants. But obviously, if you have a 5-star duped one, you probably want to go for that over the 4-star one, because again, guys, 5 stars are going to be the future of the game. Just one thing I also want to add to my rambling is that I haven't included on this list any 5-star versions of, like, featured champions. You know, you can go 15,000 shards and gamble for a 5-star version of the champion. So I think, like, some 5 stars that come up are really worth upgrading, but I wouldn't go for a 5-star featured champion unless I believe it's going to be a god tier champion. Like, I'm going to be going for Cable in January, and then I think I'm probably going to save up another kind of 15,000 or 30,000 to also go for a Mordo. 5-star Mordo would be incredible if we could manage to get that, but those aren't included on this list. I've just included the basic champions because, you know, if you're going for at that level where you're going for the featured champions, the 15,000 ones, well, you kind of probably already know, like, what characters to upgrade, but hopefully, you know, you're learning a little bit in this video, guys, so we'll see. So Tech, the absolute priority, in my opinion, for Tech is if you can get him, guys, that 5-star Star-Lord dupe. Oh my god, that if you can get that guy, you need 7. It's a total of, yeah, I believe it's 7, or is it 6? Might be 6, might be 7, to upgrade him all the way up to rank 4. And if you are at a point where you can only have one rank 4 champion, because you only have 4 of the tier 2 alpha catalysts, that is the champion you want to choose, because the 5-star Star-Lord is by far the most efficient tool for clearing the Labyrinth of Legends, which, you know, a lot of people aspire to in the end game. So he is going to be the tool, the component you need to actually beat that piece of content. And I imagine when Act 5 comes around, he's going to be very valuable as well. However, if you're just not getting lucky on the crystals, if it's just not going your way, I'd say that the 4-star Star-Lord is a decent suggestion to take to rank 5. In the meantime, you might eventually end up replacing him, but a lot of people as well still have cleared the Labyrinth of Legends with a 4-star Star-Lord, but it's just significantly easier with a 5-star one because you have a lot more health, you have a lot more damage, and also your attack increases the enrage timer. So that's pretty good. And then next up we have Ultron, who is a pretty solid 4-star, very good Alliance Quest attacker, Alliance War defender. Yeah, Ultron, just a really great all-around champion, so I'd say he's number 3 on the list. Then we have Vision as a 4-star. I really like Vision. I think he's potentially great for Alliance War attack. I'm sure he's going to be a really good utility champion come Act 5. There's a lot you can do with Vision as well, you know. He's also quite good for Alliance Quest on certain days. phase where your Ultron might be preoccupied in an alliance war. So I very much rate Vision Age of Ultron. I'll probably add that to the brackets just for clarity. And then next up we have, again, like there aren't really too many tech champions in the game that are like super great. So I've put Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon I think is a really, really good boss killer in Alliance Quest. And also has really dope prestige. So he's got those two things going for him. And then the kind of final bottom tier one, I've put as Hulkbuster. I think if you have the, what is it? It's the Willpower Mastery, kind of 3 points in, Hulkbuster, if you go full Hulkbuster, right, I always say this, you gotta go full Hulkbuster to have Hulkbuster as a really, really good Alliance War defender. But when you go full Hulkbuster, I think you're going to find, you know, you have a really, really beefy defensive champion. Like, his signature ability, as his health goes down, his armor and the amount of damage he takes is greatly reduced. So yeah, he's really, really good. I quite like Hulkbuster. He's kind of, in my opinion, still like comparatively a slightly worse version of Rhino. But you could argue that in some circumstances the armor might be a little bit better. But I think Rhino's like a little bit of a better Hulkbuster now. But Hulkbuster, you know, if you got nothing else to use your tier 4 tech catalyst on, I'd go for him. Now, Cosmic. I think Cosmic is actually the worst tier 4 class catalyst to pull. Like, I always get pretty sad because there aren't many super, super great Cosmic champions in my opinion. There are so many, like, slightly average or above average champions like Symbiote Spider-Man, Mrs. Marvel, as a 4-star, and they're okay, but I don't think, like, they're rank 5 worthy in comparison to 4. 4 is probably, like, the #1 choice for a champion that you want to go for just because he's such an efficient Alliance Quest boss killer, incredibly good for Kang and Cyclops. And then I've put Hyperion down as the second one, again, amazing for prestige, really good for Alliance Quest as well. He's poison immune, so can take out those nodes. Also very good for Alliance War defense, has a lot of strengths to him. So yeah, I think Hyperion is a really solid option for a character that you can invest a lot in. Then we also have all the 5-star Cosmic champions, because again, I don't really rate any of the 4-star ones as like being super, super overpowered. So if you get any of the 5-star ones and dupe them, like Ronan, Captain Marvel, and Drax, I think they're all like, all of those champions are like slightly above average in terms of the power scale in the game. So I think they're all decent and worth using some Cosmic tier 4 class catalyst on if you do have them duped. However, if you don't, maybe you want to hold off. But yeah, Cosmic, in my opinion, if I get like any catalyst, I don't want to get Cosmic ones. Those are the ones that I like to avoid the most. I think the most valuable catalyst, at least for me, by far, are the Mystic class. But there's, you know, writing out this list, I kind of got a bit of a broader spectrum on, you know, that a bit more value on skill. I was very undervaluing skill, but we'll talk about the skill ones in a second. So the next one up is Mutant. Now in Mutant, I've put the top one as Wolverine because I really, really like Wolverine for Alliance Quest. I've seen him just used so incredibly well on so many gameplay videos. I really like my 3-star version. I'm dying to get a 4-star Wolverine. He's an amazing Alliance War defender and mini-boss because he can only be taken out by, I believe it's Guillotine, a dupe level 99 Black Widow, and a Star-Lord, which granted are pretty common, but you know, this can throw off like quite a few other champions kind of when you're when you're fighting, because if he's on a mini boss node and somebody comes up with like a Captain America, then they might get a little bit wrecked by the Wolverine by not being able to out damage him. So I think just a really solid Alliance War defender, really fun champion to play. His regeneration is just ridiculous. So I quite value the 4-star Wolverine. The second one, which is a bit premature, guys. This is a bit premature, but I've added Cable as a 4-star to the list. Personally, I'm going to be trying to get that 5-star Cable. But I think Cable, just, he seems incredible. Like, he has so much utility for a lot of different circumstances. He has a potential to regen when he reaches a level of power. When you dupe the champion, that regen's only going to be increased along with his damage output because he's going to be able to fire off more and more specials. So Cable overall seems like a really, really solid champion initially. Again, that might be a bit premature, but in comparison to, you know, what we have with all the other mutants now, it seems significantly better. So we're going to have to see exactly how good Cable is, but I have insanely high hopes for the champion, and we've got all the numerical values from the MCOC mod video. So yeah, I have huge expectations for Cable, but you know, it might be a little bit premature, but we'll see. Apart from that, I've got all of the Magneto, Cyclops, and Storm as a 5-star. They're all kind of like quite good, slightly above average champions, all have their strengths. Magneto has a nice bit of utility, really solid damage output, does, what is it, it's non-physical damage. Non-physical damage. Well, I don't know what they call it. Energy damage. That's the one. So that can be very useful in bypassing, you know, bosses or any encounters that have a lot of physical resistance. Cyclops has a huge amount of burst in his level 1, even though it is the red suit version of Cyclops, which is slightly worse. However, he's, you know, as a 5-star, you've got quite a high ceiling for this character to go. Then we've got Nightcrawler as a 4-star as well. I think Nightcrawler is an exceptional Alliance War defender. However, he's not really... The problem with Nightcrawler is once you know how to play around Nightcrawler, once you know how to kind of force him to turn off his evade, he becomes much, much easier to deal with and doesn't really make for a great Alliance War boss. I've really kind of, in the last few months, changed my ranking and opinion on Nightcrawler. I think he's a solid defender still, and a really, really fun champion to play, and is going to screw over like 95% of people, but the people who are kind of the endgame enthusiasts who really, really know how to fight a Nightcrawler, you're just going to absolutely wreck him. So, yeah, Nightcrawler's still tricky to fight. I wouldn't put him completely out of the picture, but, you know, a Spider-Man in comparison, I would say is much, much more valuable. So he's kind of falls toward the bottom of that list. Now, when we look at skill, obviously the first choice, guys, is Black Widow, 4-star, so incredibly valuable. If you can't get your hands on Black Widow, though, I do recommend Crossbones. Crossbones, really, really fun character to play. Currently has the 2nd highest prestige of any of the skill champions, which actually is probably going to be the 3rd highest when Gwen Paul comes to the game. The other one is Karnak, who I didn't include on this list just because I'm not 100% sold on Karnak yet. I believe Black Widow does the job of Karnak significantly better. But yeah, Crossbones, I think he's a fairly decent champion. This might be my personal love for Crossbones speaking here. I can kind of see some arguments as to why he wouldn't make this list. I think he's borderline. I might move him down a little bit. But then we got Daredevil Classic, who is amazing for kind of his passive projectile evade. Very, very useful when it comes to map 5. Very, very useful when it comes to fighting Spider-Man as well, because you can automatically evade that level 1 projectile, which is really, really powerful, because that's one of the problems, you know, when you're fighting a Spider-Man with Black Widow, is you can completely bypass the evade, but you still, in most scenarios, have to deal with that level 1, which is going to be dealing so much damage, whereas the classic version of Daredevil, when he's awakened, can automatically avoid that. So that's pretty powerful. Then we go to the 5-stars. I think Black Panther and Hawkeye are really, really kind of solid options to upgrade if they're duped. Black Panther is just this absolute like freight train of damage, really, really solid champion, and Hawkeye has a very, very valuable power drain with his level 1, so I think that makes him quite good for a lot of the new challenges that come out into the game. And then we have Gwen Paul as a 4-star. She seems absolutely incredible, has a lot of utility on her, really, really strong bleed as well. I think she's going to be one of the most solid skill champions, might even have a bump up to that 2nd spot, but again, the big disadvantage of Gwen Paul is that when the champion is bleed immune, then she doesn't really have too much going for her. But I think Gwen Paul's going to be quite good, guys. I'm excited to see and find out a little bit more about this character. And then next up we have Black Panther Civil War and Agent Venom as 4-stars, and I really value both of these for Alliance War defense. If you put Black Panther Civil War on an armor up node, then he's always going to have his Stun Reflect active, which is incredibly, incredibly powerful, and he's just a real pain in the ass to fight on a lot of nodes. So I really, really do like Black Panther Civil War as a champion. Also in Alliance War Defense, he's a direct counter to the Scarlet Witch, so I do really, really enjoy that. And then finally we have Agent Venom, who is amazing on some nodes, like Kinetic Reactor. So if you put him on the Kinetic Reactor node, he will basically gain power every time that he hits the enemy while they're blocking. And his level 1, as you know, he kind of does like this kick and then fires off, I think it's like 6 machine gun hits or something like that. And you get power from each one of those. So when you use the level 1, like the power of the defender goes up to like almost 2 bars of power. So in some scenarios, actually, he just keeps on spamming his level 1. It's pretty crazy, guys. So it makes for a really, really good defender, in my opinion. But maybe only on that node. Apart from that, on some other nodes, he's pretty good. The fact that he can shrug off like 80% of debuffs, well, debuff 80% of the time, is really, really strong, and I really do value that. kind of as a character that you max out. But yeah, also a really fun champion to play as well. Very solid damage dealer, has a really, really strong bleed. So I think, you know, he might be useful for some stuff in the future. And also that shrug off debuff might come in handy in terms of utility for Act 5. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've done a lot of talking in this video. There was a lot to comprehend, a lot to debate. So I want to know, do you agree with this list? Are these the champions that you believe are worthy of bringing to rank 5 or, you know, rank 3 as a 5-star? Are there any other champions that I haven't included that you would include on this list? I'm very interested to get your feedback and opinions. And again, if you just want, you know, straight prestige, guys, a prestige list as well, I've put a link in the written spreadsheet here. If you just want to check that out, if you just want to rank for prestige, you can do that, and that's quite easy to do. But I wanted to give my thoughts in terms of, you know, utility and the future of what champions, you know, are actually worthy of your tier 4 class catalyst. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the 20 minutes of rambling. It was pretty fun from my end. If you liked the video, guys, leave a like. Apart from that, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.